If you saw my last video on the 6mm arc rifle, you're probably wondering, what the heck is that? In this video, we're taking a deep dive into the AR-Podium from FAB, discussing what it is, what it does, and if you should pick one up. What's up everybody, welcome Squad, and welcome to Slavgun. I'm glad to have you here. In the previous video, we took a look at the first of our 6mm arc guns, this 14.5-inch feature-packed budget build. One of the parts that I was certain that I wanted to have on this gun is the AR-Podium from FAB. This accessory is an extension of the Podium found on the IWI Tavor, and was designed for the Israeli military. The question is, does it fit on your AR-15? The AR-Podium is not actually a stand that helps you take better pictures of your guns. Believe me, it does, but that's not the intended purpose. The Podium Bipod was the answer to the problem that arose when the Israeli Defense Forces switched over from their old M16s to the new Tavor bullpups. With its bullpup design and the shorter front rail, there is little place to put on a bipod. Even if you did attach a bipod to the front of the gun, you would not have enough space as the legs on most bipods generally would not be tall enough. This would not give you enough range of motion for elevation adjustments. The Podium was a bipod that attached to the bottom of the pistol grip on those guns. Based on the success of how the Podium did with the original Tavor, the next natural evolution of that is, well, can't we apply this to the AR-15 and AK-47 platforms as well? The answer is yes. On the AK-47 platform in particular, this is a very easy sell as you're going to have a difficult time attaching a bipod to most AKs due to limited, if any, rail space. With AR-15s, however, the question becomes why? Is this a solution in search of a problem, or is there a need for the AR-Podium on an AR? For the AR-15, the AR-Podium is sold as a combination of a pistol grip and the Podium module. Together, it acts as a combination of a pistol grip and a bipod. Simply put, the AR-Podium gives you a nice stable bipod platform without adding weight to the front of the gun or changing the overall balance. The AR-Podium consists of 4 parts, including the pistol grip, which you can use by itself without the Podium, the bipod module itself, and 2 support pieces that go around the mag wall and attach to the front of the Podium. Installation is very simple and there is no gunsmithing experience required. What you would do is replace the pistol grip on your AR-15 with the ergonomic pistol grip from FAB that comes with the package. To the bottom of the pistol grip, you will then attach the AR-Podium platform itself and then secure it with the included pin on the front of the grip and a bolt that goes through the back. Next, you would attach the 2 support frames that connect around the AR-15 magazine well to the front of the AR-Podium. You would then click them in place, and then you have 3 bolts that go through the 2 sides, 1, 2, and 3 right here, and that's going to attach the Podium around the mag wall and to the bipod itself. Overall, installation should take no more than 10 minutes. So how would you use this? If you're shooting standing or doing anything run and gun, then your AR-15 is going to function exactly as it did. Where this is going to help most is if you're shooting behind the bench or you're shooting prone. The AR-Podium has a button on the back and behind the AR pistol grip. Simply press the button and the two legs will spring out and deploy the bipod. At this point, you can rest the rifle on the surface and not have to hold the gun in the air. The main advantage that the AR-Podium has over a standard bipod is that this shifts the fulcrum point closer to the center of the gun rather than towards the front. What this is going to do is allow you to have a stable base while having the gun pointed at extreme angles up or down. With a traditional bipod, you will often run into situations where you have to go to a new range and you find that there are targets that are going up a hillside, or you're at the top of the mountain and you're shooting down into the valley. With most bipods, you're only going to have about 11 inches or so of height. I've personally run into situations, even here at my own range, when I'm shooting at targets at 330 yards, which is up a little bit of a hillside. A standard bipod would not be able to give you the height that you need to raise the front of the gun, so what you would end up having to do is put a piece of block on the front to raise the front of the gun. This is not an issue with the AR-Podium because the bipod is shifted back and you have a much bigger range of motion. This is going to be helpful, especially if you're shooting prone. The original Podium was created for the Tavor in part to be able to use items found in urban environments as a stable platform. Examples of this would be shooting off of the hood of a car or off of a rooftop at a steep angle down, neither of which would be very easy to do with a traditional bipod mounted to the front of the gun. Related to that is that you're able to deploy both legs of the bipod by simply pressing a button at the back of the pistol grip. You do not need to reach the front of the gun and manually deploy both legs, often having to first turn each leg down, then deploy the legs to extend. With an AR-Podium, all you have to do is hold the gun, deploy, and you're ready to shoot. Most importantly, you're able to keep your eye on the target while you're deploying it. The other benefit does need to be reiterated, as that you're able to keep the balance of the gun fairly steady and you're not adding any unnecessary weight to the front of the gun. If you've ever shot or held a precision-focused AR-15, you would notice that a lot of those guns are very much heavy towards the front of the barrel. A bipod just adds additional weight to that. One way to combat that would be to add a heavier stock towards the back, but then you're adding more weight in order to have a more balanced feel of the gun. With the AR-Podium, you're able to get the utility of a bipod without having to add weight elsewhere in order to maintain that balance. As you can see here, I'm able to balance the gun on the two legs of the bipod. And this will also help reduce strain while you're shooting prone behind the gun. You can let the bipod do its thing and support the weight of the gun while you focus on pulling the trigger. There are, however, some points that you do need to consider. First, the support brackets that go from the podium to the mag well will create more things in your way and will make it a little bit more difficult to reload your magazines. With the legs stored, changing the magazines is going to feel exactly the same. Just change your magazine and you're good. Where it will take more practice, however, is reloading magazines with the bipod legs deployed. What you would have to do in sorts is almost like drop the mag. Well, you can drop the mag, it's fine, but to load the mag, especially if it's long run, you would have to kind of put it between the two legs that you see right there. With standard 30-round AR-15 magazines, you're going to have an easier time maneuvering them. However, with shorter 20-round magazines, such as this 20-round Duramag for 6.5 Grendel, or shorter 10-round magazines, you will almost have to feel like you're putting your hand between the two bipod legs to insert the magazine into the gun. In either case, it just takes a little bit of practice. The counter argument, however, is that your bipod legs are only going to be deployed if you're shooting prone or off of a surface. And therefore, the angle at which you're going to be putting the magazines in is going to be a little bit different, and thus the argument is moot. In either case, however, just know that loading the magazines will be a little bit more cumbersome or just different with the AR-Podium installed. The other point that you need to consider is that to install the AR-Podium, you will need these support brackets that go around the magazine well. Many people will shoot their AR-15 with their support hand around the front of the mag well. So let me just demonstrate. The gun is empty. So many people will shoot the gun with their hand around the magazine well. If you hold it, one of the things that you're going to notice is that the support brackets are going to be sticking out a bit, and it's not going to be as comfortable. This is generally not going to be an issue for shooting behind the bench, as when you're shooting prone or behind the bench, your support hand is going to be generally on the back of the buttstock holding it in place. I suppose you can hold it this way if you really want to, but the proper place is much like you do with all precision shooting, towards the back of the gun. If you're shooting this standing or you're doing anything run and gun, then I would just make sure that you're working on training and having a front C-clamp grip instead of holding it here. This is also an opportunity to install a vertical or an angled foregrip on the gun. Where I can certainly see the AR-Podium being popular is on the new type of firearm, which is extremely popular right now in both Connecticut and New Jersey, and that would be other firearms. I've done many videos on these firearms, and you can find them in a playlist linked above. In short, what it is, it's a firearm that's designed to be fired with two hands and will have a pistol brace and a vertical foregrip. With other firearms, the vertical foregrip having to be there will generally make it more difficult to install a front bipod, especially if you have a shorter rail. There's not going to be enough room. The AR-Podium is the perfect answer for those firearms, as you're able to both maintain the vertical foregrip and have a bipod feature that is moved into the AR pistol grip. So with the AR-Podium, I keep seeing the plate, and especially with the muzzle brake, I don't lose track of the sight picture. To going full squat. To then transitioning to full prone. Bottom line, I learned of the AR-Podium a number of years ago at SHOT Show in Vegas. I thought it was certainly cool, and I was impressed when one of the company representatives stood on the gun that was supported by only the back of the buttstock and the AR-Podium. I was always looking for a reason to use one, and working with other firearms and the shorter gun in particular was a terrific opportunity, and honestly, I am more impressed than I thought I would be. The AR-Podium is made of high-quality polymer consistent with what you would expect from FAB. Much like Magpul, these guys know how to work with polymers, and there is a reason why they're one of the top accessories manufacturers for the European and Russian markets in particular. The AR-Podium installed easily, all the parts fit like they're supposed to, and it just feels solid. The question is then, should you consider it, and should it replace a traditional bipod? The answer is yes, you should absolutely consider it, and maybe it may replace a bipod depending on how you use it. If you have an 18, 20, or 24-inch precision-built firearm, and you're used to shooting with $200 or $300 bipods that have a large range of adjustability, then generally no, this is not going to replace it. What this will do, however, is easily replace a cheap bipod on most casual gun owners' guns. Meaning, if the majority of shooting that you're doing is behind a bench, and you don't see the value in spending $250 or $300 on a high-end bipod, a rear bag rider, and a sandbag, then this will be a terrific accessory for you, as it'll provide a stable platform for your firearm, and it'll be a great improvement over anything you're doing right now. This is also going to be a good accessory for situations where you may actually need a gun like this, meaning the zombies are coming and you're sitting on your rooftop and you have to defend yourself, your family, and your property. If you ever see yourself needing a little bit of support, shooting the gun off of obstacles, or shooting at extreme angles, this is a no-brainer, and this is going to be the nicest solution to those problems. The cool part is, and something that I didn't totally expect, is that even if you don't want the AR-Podium feature, you're not going to need it for the foreseeable future, then this pistol grip by itself is quite nice. It has a very nice tactile feel, and you have tactile dots on both the front and the back of the grip, which are going to provide you a nice grip overall. At any time that you're going to need the AR-Podium bipod, then you can simply install it back within a few minutes and just a couple of bolts. I also think this is a no-brainer for anybody who's on the fence and owns multiple AR-15s, because you can easily justify purchasing one AR-Podium, and then you'll be able to easily install it and reinstall it on your choice of gun. This way, you can spread the cost of one AR-Podium over multiple guns instead of considering it as part of the only gun that you're going to be using. Speaking of the cost, the AR-Podium can be found right now in the United States for around $125, and this is even less than the new FAB Spike bipod, which I totally love, and if you haven't seen the video, go watch it, and it's linked above. Generally speaking, you're going to spend about $25 to $40 for an AR-15 pistol grip. So then you're really asking yourself, is the additional $80 or so worth adding the quick deploy bipod feature? And I personally believe that yes it does. And if your gun is anything but black, then FAB also makes the AR-Podium in olive drab green, ODG, and tan finishes. And all three are available today. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned something new. And if you did, then you know what to do. Make sure to click the like button and share the video with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't. If you want to learn more about this AR-15, then take a look at the video for it linked above. And if you're interested in the brand new Hornady 6mm ARC caliber, I have put together a playlist to which you're constantly adding videos, and you can find it linked above as well. As always, I appreciate you watching, keep on squatting, and I'll see you in the next video.